I always drew a lot of parallels between attracting employees and attracting people in the dating world, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of companies just haven't done that over the years. I feel like Apple and Tesla and Google, Facebook, like these cool tech companies, they kind of come in with the built-in Tom Ford cologne. And it's, oh, you smell good, right? Like there's always people running towards them no matter what they do. And then it's the rest of America's out there grinding away trying to figure out what do we got to do. And oh, Google's got a keg, we got to get a keg. Oh, Facebook has ping pong tables. That's the trick. If we get ping pong tables, then they'll come. Get the ping pong tables and they will come. And then they don't, right? So I think even when you're looking at the overall employer brand aspect of things, it's when you're single, you start working out, you try to get in better shape, you're reading books, you're trying to work on more interesting things to say, you buy some new clothes, you always got a fresh haircut, you try to make yourself as attractive as possible so you can attract other people. At least if you're trying to find a good mate, that's what people do. And I think up until like the last couple of years, most companies weren't doing that. They thought of it as, you're lucky that there's a job out there for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole script is kind of flipped. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
When you look at what's going on right now, it's a candidate-driven market. They kind of get to dictate everything, which I think is almost a mistake if you're on the candidate side, because you should be looking for somewhere you can stay 3 to 5 years, master a skill, find a mentor. Like there's so many other things you should be doing, not trying to leverage a company for as much, because the company never forgets that. There's always a day of reckoning. Like there's always another pullback or another recession. Excuse me. So that's a whole other topic, but you're starting to see companies take it a little more seriously, where I worked in a lot of manufacturing when I got my career started. Came to places were disgusting. Cubicles that looked like they needed to be replaced 20 years ago. It still had the smell of cigarettes because you used to smoke in the office, right? This is the 90s, early 2000s. Carpet that you could see where they tracked in oil over the years from walking from the shops to their front office. And then it's like you bring these candidates in there that just spent, $85,000 on an engineering degree. And they're like, this doesn't look like that nice of a place to work, right?
Yeah.
So you started seeing companies make more of an investment into that workspace. And then it's okay, let's get rid of the bun coffee pot and, put in an automatic espresso machine, right?
Yeah.
But, Kane, that was little improvements that says, okay, this could be a little bit more enjoyable to work.
Yeah.
It wasn't always about, I had someone try to do that to me when I was 19, 20. I had a particular tech skill that everybody wanted. And I was that person that I could go work wherever I wanted to work. And people would try to entice you with, we got a beverage cart that comes around with popcorn and like Jolt Cola. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to choose a job because you got a popcorn cart. And then you saw these things happen, and Google did the open office environment, which come to find out nobody liked. So I think we spent a lot of time trying to follow what everybody else does. Well, how's that worked out, King?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So you start looking at, what's your social media look like? We're so focused on social media trying to drive sales that we forget that that's probably the second place candidates look before they come work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and this would be a cool place to display that it's fun to work here. Here's some of the stuff we do. Here's some of the people. I do think it's a mistake. I see some of these huge companies doing this. You and I just talked about this. A couple of these big consulting companies. They kind of start portraying an image like it's actually so awesome to work here, we don't even work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's one in particular you and I talked about. We're not going to mention the name. And at that point, I think you start attracting the wrong people. I mean, this is a hard driving management consulting company. You know, they're on the road. You know, they're not working 28 hours a week. But the picture you're painting online doesn't seem to show that. It actually looks like you don't work at all, but you make 175,000. And then you're going to get there and it's going to say, the candidate's going to go, this isn't what I thought it was. So that's a whole other mistake. But
oh yeah. Just diving into that point a little bit, James. I think there's a naivety to think like, oh well, it's just social media, and okay, so let's say we attract the wrong people. Our HR team and our talent acquisition team is good enough to sift through all that, but the impact of that, at a second order to attracting the wrong people is that in order to find the right people, then you waste so much more time and it costs so much more money that it just makes no sense from an ROI perspective to do it wrong right at the start.
You waste a tremendous amount of time on the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend that runs it's not his, but he's like we'll call him managing director / president. It's $100+ million firm. But they tried doing that appease everybody thing. And it just wasn't that their turnover was god awful. And it was tough because the customers were getting mad, like, hey, I was working with Bob for the last 3 weeks, and then it was Amy, and then Amy was only there for 7 weeks, and now I got Steve. It's not enjoyable from a customer's perspective, right? I mean, you don't like it as a customer, right?
Yeah.
So my insight to him, because I don't like to say advice. I say advice, but I just give people insights. My insight was, what if you just stopped trying to cater to everybody and just said, this is our culture. I had a friend that's a partner at a law firm, one of the largest in the Midwest, and this is what they do. They say, look, working here is going to be hell. Not in the, it's going to be super hot, bring some SPF 50 kind of hell. But you're going to work. Yeah, it's funny though, right? But you're going to work 70 hours a week hell. And it's going to be some Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
And when we know we have a trial coming up, it might be 90 hours a week. He's like, when you're watching Tom Cruise in that lawyer movie and they're up to 2 a.m. going through documents, that's going to be this job. And that up or out kind of mentality, which they don't push people out, but they do want to push people up. They want people that have high ambitions, that are trying to grow. So they go the complete opposite way. Say, hey, this is the place you come to that, you want to make a career by the time you're 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they do scare away a lot of people, but they scare away the same people that we're only going to make it 9 months anyways, and then go leave a bad Glassdoor review. So, do you have to go do the whole, it's dark and hell is hot kind of sales pitch? I'm not saying you got to go that far. But is it wrong to just say we're a hardworking 45, 50-hour a week type of company that's trying to sustain above average, mid double digit growth, where you could have a career that is far more accelerated than some of the other places?
Mm-hmm.
That might be better than saying, hey, we got ping pong, we got a keg, and they're gonna bring in waffle bologna sandwiches on Fridays at 11 a.m. Like, there's all these little gimmicks, and the people who are really trying to get somewhere, Kane, they don't care.
Right.
They're looking for opportunity. What can they learn? And most importantly, and I think this is greatly overlooked on the employer branding, who am I working for?
Yeah.
Have you had many of those conversations?
Well, sure. I mean, the thing that's coming to mind, and we'll put a pin in that question, James. But the thing that's coming to mind is something we've talked about in the past. Is um, when you think about retention, right? And we're in the middle of the Great Resignation or the Great Alignment or whatever you want to call it. You made a great point there, which is the high ambition kind of people. They'll find your company regardless of kind of what employer brand you put out there. But it's almost like that Pareto 80-20 rule. Like the 80% of the people that you need to kind of get the business moving, those are the ones that are heavily swayed, I'd say, by the state of your employer brand. And if you present an employer brand that's not a true reflection of what it is to work at your organization, then you start to kick up the issues around retention. And the more real, which is going back to that management consultant firm we talked about, the more real you are about the actual state, forget the coffee table, not coffee table, the ping pong table. Everybody needs a coffee table. If you forget the ping pong table, you forget like those kinds of things. It's just we're in this age where we're so conditioned with social media and things to over beautify and we just think that has to be the way that everything has to go. But I feel like a reversion back to more realism, I think, is probably the way to just have better effects with your employer brand and the retention and things.
I just, going back to the who do you work for? Who will I work for question.
Yeah.
The stuff that you do at Daggerfinn, a lot of times it's okay. For an example, there's a partner at a law firm, and we're going to get him more PR. We're going to get some content on the internet. We're going to kind of bolster them up to show, hey, this is someone that you want to go come learn from. It's in Detroit, a lot of lawyers wanted to go work for Figer. Not because they wanted to work for his law firm. It's just they wanted to learn from him before they go to the next gig. So it's like, well, who am I going to learn from? Who's my mentor? What can I walk away from and, walk away with in 3 to 5 years? And if I'm just going to have a manager who's just going to make sure I'm coming to work on time, that's not as appealing as someone that's going to, teach me boatloads of game that I can go on to the next job with. Yeah. So that's another employer branding thing that I think is greatly underappreciated. Like in the automotive world, I was talking to somebody, they're trying to hire designers, right? But the one group, there's no designer that you ever hear of in a magazine. If you Google their name, they're nowhere. There's like, well, why do I want to go work for this person? I want to go learn from a master of a craft. This is part of the thing that you really have to spend time building up for your company and your people. You can't just, one of the companies I owned, we had the ping pong table. We got the wind down on Thursdays and Wednesdays. We did all the fun stuff because we want to make it fun. But I don't think that's why people choose a place to work, and I don't think that's why they choose to stay. Mm-hmm. And it all comes down to, you got to make sure you're hiring the right people, period. If you're trying to attract people that want 6 weeks vacation, that want to work from home 32 hours a week, what it eventually gets down to is some people don't want to work at all. And you're in these hard charging, highly competitive spaces, and all of a sudden you're not competitive anymore because it's 2 p.m. on a Thursday and half your employees won't return your phone call. Mm-hmm. Which, I've experienced my own frustrations trying to deal with a couple banks in the last year, that I was moving my primary bank from a company that I moved millions of dollars through. I was looking for a new primary for that company. And how many times did I have someone tell me that they can't get back to me until Wednesday because, they only work Monday, Wednesday, Friday now that they're working from home. It's like, I need a banker that's at least available during banker hours. And are you telling me I can't get a hold of someone between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday? Scratch them off the list. Yeah. And there's a CPA firm. I just ditched them after a decade because they're doing the same thing. We're working from home, blah, blah, blah. And you'd call them and you wouldn't even get a call back. It's like, oh, I was working from home. I didn't get the call. I mean, you know what? If you were at your desk in the office, you would have returned my phone call.
Yeah.
So I moved on to another CPA firm because I'm watching these customer service levels drop. And that's cool that everyone's got 6 weeks vacation now and they're working 32-hour weeks from home. But the problem is businesses are really losing out. So now I'm at a CPA firm that if I send an email on Saturday morning, they reply. It's, I'm moving to a bank that's at least available between 9 and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, which when you're running millions of dollars to someone's bank, you think that should be the minimum, right?
Might get small wins.
And I think that's where we're going to keep trying to give away all this stuff like unlimited vacation time and work 20 hours a week and work from home and you're not going to have a manager anymore. And like you make it as appealing as possible and then your business starts suffering. I think, how many earnings calls have you seen miss lately, by the way?
Oh yeah. Yep. Lots.
Didn't Goldman Sachs just miss?
Yeah, or they pulled profits down a ton.
There is a lot of turmoil because we're going to start to realize that we have a lot of turmoil in the workforce. And it takes a lot of work to stay in business, to stay competitive, to still be here in 5 years, Kate. We're not going to get there working 20-hour weeks with 7 weeks of vacation and where we don't answer our customers' phone calls for 3 days. You got to find people that, it's crazy, but you got to find people that want to work. So don't develop an employer brand that shows, hey, we don't work at all. We make 6 figures because we know that's not true, King.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And yet you're right. You end up just attracting the people that buy into that and then get disappointed. And then it's downward spiral from there. Bad Glassdoor reviews,
I mean, they call this is going to be the most chill job ever. They're looking at all these super happy stock photo people on your Instagram you post, and they're sitting by a beach at like 10 a.m. on a Thursday. I want that job.
Yeah.
And then they find out what 10 a.m. Thursday looks like is you're crammed in the back of an airplane, flying to Oklahoma to go sit at a client site and work till 7 p.m. every night, like one of those big 4 accounting firm auditors. It's focus on attracting the right people.
Yeah.
And things get a lot better, right?
100%.
So, anyways, that's all I got for this one.
Sounds good.
All right, I got you.